Howdy guys, lovely to see you all again. Today we're going to be looking at the solo from Death's Trapped in a Corner. It is very, very delicious. Lots of trades and lots of fun stuff. Tapping and shredding. I just love it so much. Anyway, without further ado, let's have a look. Alright guys, before we get too excited, we just need to talk about the tuning, which is D standard, which goes D, G, C, F, A, D. So get yourself in tune, and we'll get started. Alright guys, let's have a look at the first section. We're going to start off with this phrase. Let's slow that down. I'm going to be playing 13 to 14 on the third and the second string. And then I want to quickly jump back to 13 of the third. Now the next part, we're sort of working down evil parts of the scale. It's all pretty evil, let's be honest. I'm going to play 15, 14, 11 on the fourth. Then after that, I'm going to jump to 5 of the fifth, and I'm going to be playing 5, 4 there. And then 4, 1 on the sixth. So this is what we should have thus far from the start. Of that, I'm going to slide into 5 of the sixth and then 10 of the second. And that's all of the first half. Obviously on those slides we want to add some vibrato, keep it nice and spooky. So this is what we should have thus far at a gentlemanly pace. Hopefully that's all making sense. Then I work into this phrase. Let's slow that down. I've got a full tone bend from 17 to the first string. When I bring it down, I'm going to play 17, 16 there, and then jump to 15 of the second. At the end of that, I want to play 17 of the third to 17 of the second. But when I hit that second string, I'm going to do some spooky whammy. So altogether, we should have this. Okay? Hopefully that's making sense. Then I work into this little shreddy scale run. So I do flip the pickup to keep this nice and smooth when I'm playing the solo in full. So I'm going to be going from 13 of the first string, and then I work into this phrase. This is using sort of that Phrygian dominant shape we saw in Pantera's Domination, if you know that song. Anyway, so we're starting off with that 13 leading note, and then I'm going to be playing 16, 13, 12 on the first, 15, 13, 12 twice on the second string, and then resolving that to 14 of the third. Sorry. Making sure we're leading that from the 13. Okay, then from that point, I've sort of got two groups of 4/16ths or semiquavers. If you're of British descent, it goes like this. We slow that down. We're going to be playing 12, 13, 15 on the second string and 12 of the first. And then from that point, I'm going to be playing 13, 15 of the second and then 12, 15 of the first. So altogether that chunk. So let's go from the shred and that new little bit. Hopefully that's making sense. I then have a quick triplet on 12 of the second string. After that, I do 2 pull-offs from 15 to 13. So we've got, at the end of that, I'm going to do a triplet from 17 now. At the end of that triplet, I'm going to hit it one more time and add the vibrato. So I got triplet, pineapple, extra pick, vibrato. I got sort of an angry tone and a half bend. Hopefully that's all making sense. That's the whole section. We're going to go right back to the start. I'm going to flip back to my bridge, and then I'll flip it to the neck halfway just to keep things angry, then sexy. Here we go. One more time with some tabs. Alright guys, let's have a look at the second section. This is deliciously shreddy. I'm going to start from 17, 19, 20 on the 4th string. I'm going to do that exact same pattern, but on the 3rd string, and I'm going to do that twice. So it'll go all together thus far. Okay, then I jump to the 2nd string, still keeping things shreddy. I'm going to play 18, 20, 22, and I'm going to do that shred pattern twice. Then from there, I'm going to end on 18 of the 1st string, and that's going to give us 16 notes. Okay, the next chunk I'm going to work into is this. Let's slow that down. I'm going to have a quick triplet hammer-on pull-off idea going 20 to 22, and then back to the 20 on the 1st string. Then from that point, I'm going to play 18, and then 12, 20, 18 on the 2nd string, so it'll go like this. At the end of that, what I have here is a pull off from 22 to 20 on the 2nd string, and then I want to be playing 19 of the 3rd. So we're going to have this. Let's have a look at the whole section thus far at a gentlemanly pace. Hopefully that's making sense. Then I work into this phrase. So it's nearly exactly the same thing 3 times. I'm going to start off with a hammer-on pull-off going 15, 16, 15 on the 2nd string, like this. I getting my words mixed up. Then I want to play 17 of the 2nd string, 17 of the 3rd string, back into 15 of the 2nd. So all together. You want to do a cheeky economy pick here. It does help make the legato and the picking a little less erratic, if you will. At the end of that, I'm going to be playing 17, 16, 17 on the 3rd string as a pull off into a hammer. So nice and slow. I'm going to do exactly the same thing again. And then very, very similar on the 3rd idea, but I go like this. So it's exactly the same, but instead of pulling off from 17 to 16, I'm going to pull off to 15 on the 3rd. After that hammer on, I'm going to return to 15 and pluck that and give that some vibrato. So we'll try this idea. Essentially the same thing 3 times. We're just changing from the 16 to 15 on the 3rd. So nice and slow. Hopefully that's making sense. Let's go from the start of the section and then we'll work on the second half. Hopefully that's making sense. Then I work into this minor arpeggio. So it's just a straight sort of, I guess it would be G minor if we were in standard tuning. I'm pulling off from 22 to 18, then playing 20 of the 2nd string, and then 19 of the 3rd. I'm just going to do that as a descend and then ascend it back up. And that should give us 8 notes. So when I bring it back up again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, you'll notice that if I just do backwards and forwards, I end up with 7 notes, and that's kind of an uneven number to be looping, if you will. So I add in one more pull off, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then I start that again. Now Now the last one is a little bit different. I just go backwards, forwards, and then backwards without that double hammer-on pull-off. We're going to have this. So that's just doing the descend into the ascend, back into a descend again. I'll show you that whole group of arpeggios back to back at a gentlemanly pace, and obviously we'll look at it again with tabs later as well. At the end of that last arpeggio, I add the vibrato, and then I work into this phrase. Let's slow that down. I'm going to start with a bend from 20 of the first string, and then I want to go back to a regular 20, and then a bend again, and then back to a regular 20. So we're going to go bend, note, bend, note. At the end of that, I go to 22, give that a bend, and then I hit 20 twice on the first string, and that's the end of the section. So we've got all together. It's not that hard to play, it is just a little bit strange on the phrasing. So it's a big section, I know. Let's go right back to that shred run we had from 17 to the 4th string and put it together at a gentlemanly pace. One more time with some tabs. Alright guys, let's take this section nice and slow. We're going to start from 10 of the second string and start off with this phrase. Nice and spooky. So going from 10, then I want to play 11, and then work into this phrase. I've got a quick hammer-on pull-off going 10, 11, 10 on the second, then jumping to 12 of the third string. All together we're going to have this. At the end of that, I'm going to play 10, 11, 10, and then work my way up to 15 to 14 on the second string. You're probably going to end up with like a cheeky grace note slide just to make that transition, but it doesn't matter too much. Altogether thus far we should have this. Then I work into this phrase. So I'm going to be playing 13, 12, 15, 13, and 17, 15, and you'll notice that I sort of have to do a bit of a slide and a position shift every time. After that, I work into this phrase. So what I have here is I play 18, quick hammer-on, pull-off, 17, 18, 17. At the end of that, nice and slowly there, I'm going to be playing 15, 17, 18, 17. So it'll go. That's kind of the first half of this section. So we'll do it all again from the start, nice and slow, and then we'll add to it. Hopefully that's making sense. And then I go, keeping it nice and even. I want to play 17 of the second string, and then 15, 14, and then 15, 14 on the third. All together. Okay. I have one leading note, and then I have this crazy shred run. So let's do this nice and slow. I'm playing 13 as my leading note on the first string, and then I'm going to work into this phrase. Let's slow that down. I'm going to be playing 17, 15, 13 on the first string, and then it'll play 17, 14, 17, 15, 14 on the second. So it'll go like this. So it'll go. At the end of that, I'm going to play 15, 14 on the third string, and then from that point, I've got two sort of legato triplets here. I'm playing 17, 15, 14 on the third and fourth string. So thus far, at the end of that, I'm going to play 17, 14 just as sort of 16. So it's drifting between triplets and then the 16ths as well. Okay, then from that point I work into this phrase. Let's slow that down. I'm going to play 16, 17 on the 5th and 15, 17 on the 4th. And I've got a quick triplet playing 14, 15, 17 on the 4th string. And that's going to resolve to 14 of the 3rd. At the end of that, I'm going to play 14, 15, 17 on the 3rd. Like a pretty slow speed, really. I was going to say nice and slow, but not really. And then I slide off into oblivion before the 4th section. So from that last little chunk, and that's pretty much the whole section. I know it is a long one. They're all quite challenging with the amount we're cramming into 8 bars. Let's go right back to the start of the section, play it at a gentleman's speed, and then again even slower with some tabs. One more time with some tabs. Alright guys, let's have a look at the 4th section. We're going to start off with a cheeky arpeggio sweep. It might look a little bit strange to start, but halfway through you will notice that it is a pretty standard meat and veg shape. I'm going to have a hammer on from 10 to 13 on the 4th. And then from this point, it's just a basic minor arpeggio triad that we've seen many times throughout the course of our lives. So I'm playing 12 of the 3rd, 13 of the 2nd, and then hammering 11 to 15 of the 1st. It's going to sound like this. You really want to make that last note count, give it a bit of vibrato, hold it for a little bit before the that next phrase comes in. At the end of that, I think we want to hit that 17 as a regular note and then add a bend to it. So after we've hit that 15 with the vibrato, regular 17, and then the bend. At the end of that, I'm going to slide from 15 to 13 and then play 15 to the 1st into 15 to the 2nd. That's going to sound like this. Then I go into this delicious slidey phrase. Let's slow this down and then we'll put it all together. Now I am sort of swapping fingers here. This is a pretty strange phrase. I'm going to play 17, 15, 17 on the 3rd, all slides. And then from that point, I'm going to play 15, 17, 15, 12 on the 4th string, all with slides. At the end of that, I'm going to add a hammer-on pull-off from 12 to 15. So all together from these slides. At the end of that, let's slow that down. I'm going to do a hammer-on from 13 to 15 on the 5th string. And then I work into this phrase. Let's slow that down. I'm going to play 12 to 13 on the 4th string and play 15 to the 5th. Then I've just got sort of a minor arpeggio triad, playing 12 of the 4th, 13 of the 5th string, and then 15 of the 6th string. That was a mouthful. Let's have a look at what we've got thus far from the start of the section. Now that last note lasts for a while. You can vibrato it naturally or add some whammy vibrato to it if it makes your life a little bit easier. There's one more little shred run and then an arpeggio. So the shred run that I was dealing with there was playing 14, 16, 17 on the 3rd string, and then 15, 17, 18 on the 2nd. At the end of that, nice angry vibrato, Zakk Wylde style, if you will. Keep it nice and wide on 20 of the 2nd. Okay. Now the weird thing is this arpeggio is kind of a minor arpeggio, but it starts with a major interval. It's quite strange. I'm playing 12 to 16 of the 5th string, and then I have 2 14s in a row from the 4th to the 3rd. And then I want to be playing 13 of the 2nd and then pulling off 17 to 13. So all together, At the end of that, I'm going to play 14 to 14 from the 3rd to the 4th string, but you'll notice that I'm crossing fingers because doing the flat thing will screw me up and make it easier for me to get to that last note there. So I was playing 14 of the 3rd into 14 of the 4th. Should be ending on my pointer. And then to finish that phrase, before it trades to Chuck, I'm finishing on 17 of the 2nd string. So those last 2 notes are an octave apart. So that whole last arpeggio, I like it with a hammer on at the start, but you could pick it all if you wish. So let's go right back to the start of the section at a gentlemanly pace, and then we'll play it again even slower with some tabs. One more time with some tabs. All right, guys, section 5, we're nearly there. This is the chuck trade and the adventurous tapping. I'm going to start off with just a very, very simple phrase. Let's get a head around that, and then we'll make it more silly. So I'm going to tap 15, pull off to 5, and hammer to 8, and that's going to be the premise of most of the riff. Okay? So what we're going to do now is talk about what my tapping hand is doing. I want to be playing 15, 13, 12, and then 13, 12, 13. And the interesting thing about this is it kind of has a triplet pulse, whilst we're doing like triplets as well. So it's like a triplet pulse of triplets. It's kind of weird. So my tapping finger was going 15, 13, 12, 13, 12, 13, and we want to have that exact same idea of the 6 taps twice in a row. The next group is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to play 12, 13, 15, 13, 12, 13. But all of the left hand stuff's going to be the same. And then the 4th group is going to go back to what we started with, which is this. So the first, the second, and the 4th groups are going 15, 13, 12, 13, 12, 13. And then the 3rd group was playing 12, 13, 15, 13, 12, 13. This is going to sound very silly, but I'm going to take away my fretting hand and just do the taps. Tell me if this makes sense. You can't, can you? But hopefully this makes sense. Hopefully that makes sense. So now we're going to add the 5 to 7, so the 5 to 8 hammer on, and we're going to do all 4 groups of them. Okay, hopefully that's all making sense, and then I work into this phrase. Getting a little litany here, I'm vibratoing 7 of the 1st string, and then rolling the legato, which is going 8, 7, 5 of the 1st, and then playing 6 of the 2nd string. After that, I work into, I think it's got a sort of a cacophony sound to it. You guys know what I'm talking about. That kind of weird Friedman sound. Anyway, what I'm doing is I'm playing 7, 9, 10 on the 4th string, hammering 7, 9 of the 3rd, and then I want to play 6 and then 10, 6 as a pull off on the 2nd string. At the end of that, I'm just going to descend down 4 notes of that pattern. So I'm going to be playing 9, 7 of the 3rd and then 10, 9 of the 4th. So all together, with the other part in front of it now. And we're going to repeat that cacophonous phrase 2 times in a row. And that's pretty much the whole section. Let's go right back to the start with the tapping in the 5/8. And we'll put that cheeky cacophony lick at the end as well. And then do it again even slower with some tabs. more time with some tabs. Alright guys, last section, we're going to start off with the vibrato on 7 of the 4th string. And then I'm going to jump all the way up to 19 of the 1st, and we're going to do 2 triplets. So at full speed, that'll be quite fast. And we're working to that angry shred. So after I've done the sort of double triplet there, I'm going to work into this phrase. So you notice that they all have a very similar pattern of the way they shred, and this is very characteristic of Chuck's playing. So after I've done that double triplet, I'm going to go 20, 19, 17, and then 19, 17. We're going to have sort of a quick 5-note shred. And that 5-note shred is going to carry over to the rest of the run here. So I'm going to jump to 18 of the 2nd string and do the same thing. I'm going to play 18, 17, 15, and then 17, 15 again. So back to back. Then I jump to the 3rd string. I'm going to play 17, 16, 14, then 16, 14 again. Once again, that 5-note grouping. Then I jump to the 4th string, another 5-note grouping. I'm going to play 15, 14, 12, 14, 12. So we've got from the start of that. At the end of that, I'm going to be playing 15, 14, 12 on the 5th string and then hit 12 again. So let's have a look what we've got thus far from the start of the section. Hopefully that's making sense. And then I just sort of work my way up what would be a Aeolian idea. What I have here is I'm playing 12, 14, 15 on the 5th and the 4th string, and then just backtracking to that 14 with some sexy vibrato. And that's the first half of the last section. So we'll go through that at a gentlemanly pace and then add the second half. Hopefully that's making sense. Then I work into this phrase. So let's slow that down. I'm going to start off with the slide from 15 to 17 on the 2nd string. And then I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 when I get there. So I'm going to slide in and hit it 4 more times. And it's going to sort of have a triplet pulse. So that jolly pirate sound. So we're sliding in 1, 2, 3, 4 when I get there. Then I'm going to slide from 17 to 12. And then another group of 4 when I get to 12. So they both have the same sort of timing, these two little ideas. I'm going to do a very similar idea, but this time I'm going to slide from 12 to 15 and then hit that another 4 times when I get there. So we've got... Now this final one is a little bit different. I'm going to slide from 15 to 13, but hit it 3 times. 1, 2, 3. And where the 4th note would be, I'm going to play 12 with the 1st string, and that's going to be kind of a leading note to that last little shred. Hopefully that makes sense. We're going to re-borrow that 5-note grouping idea that we had at the start of this section. This last little run. So I'm going to be playing 13, 12, 10, 12, 10 on the 1st. Same on the 2nd. It's exactly the same shape. Now this time, I want to do the same idea, but I'm going 10, 9, 6, and then 9, 6 on the 2nd string. If it feels weird doing that, you can do that exact same shape on the 3rd string if that feels more comfortable for you. But we do have to end in the same spot on both ideas. So I've got this last chunk I'm playing 10, 9, 7 on the 3rd string. And I'm going to resolve that to 9. And then hit the 9 again as a pinch harmonic. So that whole last run at a gentlemanly pace. Hopefully that's making sense. That's all of the final section. Let's do it again a little bit slower, and then we'll do it again even slower, some tabs. One more time with some tabs. And that was the solo from Trapped in a Corner by Death. Hope you guys enjoyed that. If you want tabs for this lesson, please sign up to my Patreon, and you'll get a lot of bonus content and tabs to my solo builders and every solo that I do there as well. I also have a couple of courses on Udemy, which I'd like you guys to check out. And I also have, ta-da, my book, Ultimate Shred Machine, is out now if you want to up your chops in shredding, sweeping, legato, and tapping. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the lesson. I'll catch you all very soon.